Welcome to another episode of Six Figure Secrets for Fractional Experts. My name is Bradley Jacobs. I'm your host, the founder and CEO of Mylance. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by the Lettuce founder and CEO, Ran Harpaz. Ran, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Bradley. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just get started. Tell us the origin story of Lettuce. What really drove you to start this company? Tell us about how you got here.
Sure. So I've been working with fractionals and solos forever. As somebody who's done a bunch of startups and built technology, there was always this expert that I loved working with who was either an engineer who's remote, offshore, or a marketer who's really expert. So always had solos work with me through my career. And at some point, I myself became a solo advisor to other startups saying, hey, if you're going to build something, here's what you should do. And it was very evident, both as somebody who hires solo and somebody who is solo himself, that you're in no man's land. You don't have a company to worry about you. You're not an individual. You're in between. And while it was a little easier to not worry about it when I was paying others, it was very evident when I was doing it myself, like, okay, this is broken. And as a technologist, my heart goes into, okay, if somebody's broken, let's go solve it with technology. And I think it took a while to have enough capabilities in place to be able to put together a solution and say, okay, we're building something that is dedicated for solos. The ability to do that is great. So that drove me 2 years ago to say, let's build Lettuce.
Yeah. And so tell us what Lettuce is.
Lettuce is a fintech platform that was built specifically for high earning solos. We serve those people who decided they want to have a solo professional life: consultants, creators, coaches, realtors, lawyers, doctors, nurses, but who decided that this is how they want to live their life. It's not a gig. They're not going to go back to work next month. This is their passion. And as a fintech platform, we provide all the capabilities for them to focus on their business and not on their back office. So we do the compliance, the banking, the accounting, closing the books, paying the invoices, and most importantly, running your taxes and your benefits like retirements the way that you would do if you had a corporate, the way that actually optimizes so that the business keeps the most of profit for the owner to enjoy. And letting the owners run their business, like do what they're great at.
Which is what they all want. I didn't go into starting my own business so that I could do taxes and bookkeeping and health insurance and deal with all the compliance crap, right? I was an operations expert. I wanted to go serve my clients and just get the rest of this crap taken care of for me. And that sounds like exactly what you guys do.
That is 100%. And that's the conversation I have every day with our customers. They come into this because they have a passion and they're great at doing something. You talk to a therapist, they want to heal people, they want to help, right? You talk to a creator, they have audience, they want to influence, they want to expose people to what's happening. None of them show up to work saying, oh, I really want to make sure that every single receipt is reconciled in my books. And I want to go read the latest publication from the IRS and make sure that I get that dollar account. Like, oh my God, they typically run away from that and want to do their business. And when you start thinking about what drives people to be solos, it's the passion to take what they're great at and serve clients and give it to more people. It's never, ever, I want to sit over the weekend and do the books. So by letting them be what they want to be, we say, let us worry about the rest. That really, allows things to fall into place.
So I want this episode to be as action-packed, tangible value for everyone listening. And so we're going to hit on a few different topics, and I really want this to almost be like, let's knock this out, add some value, and then move on to the next one. So one of the things I learned when I started consulting was I learned all about, LLC versus not, and then S Corp versus not. And we get lost in the terminology. So I almost want to get rid of a lot of the terminology because the end of the day, I want to take home the most amount of money. I also want to protect myself legally, right? And so let's talk about taking home the most amount of money because that is, just the number, as you said it earlier, like I want to maximize profit, which is take home the most amount of money. Let's just talk about the best way to do that. So, what is the number one way as a solo that I can take home the most amount of money?
So the answer to that is very straightforward, and that is go get yourself an S Corp and run it well. And just to clarify the terminology, an LLC is a legal entity. You should have one. You're running a business, it should be registered, should have an LLC. But that has no impact on your tax liability whatsoever. The LLC is a legal protection. You should get one. The next thing you should do is get an S Corp, which is a tax treatment of your LLC that is now saying this is a corporate. You can separate as a corporate what you pay the owner in salary and what the business ends up providing in profit, dividends, and then you get different tax strategies for each of them, and you should do that right away. Now, there is a well-known prescription. It's written by the IRS. None of this is magic. It just, you have to do it well. And as you know, and everybody who listens know, in every one of our professions, there are ways to do things well, and there are ways to do things kinda. Running your S Corp well is non-trivial, and you should intentionally do that.
Okay. So I want to summarize what you're saying, make sure every listener has clarity on this. So the LLC is a legal distinction, right? It is saying that I am not the business, that the LLC, call it Bradley's LLC, is the business. So if something, God forbid, were to go wrong with a client, you can come after my LLC and the assets associated with that, but you cannot come after me personally and the assets associated with me. Is that right?
Correct. True.
Okay. So then I can choose my LLC to have a certain tax classification because otherwise the LLC is called just a pass-through entity from a tax perspective, right? Nothing changes. I don't save money by starting an LLC. I get legal protection.
Correct.
The S Corp is what allows me to have different tax treatment. And what I heard you say is there's a portion, let's just say I make 100 grand, right? Well, let's keep it really simple. There's a portion I can designate that's my salary as an employee of the S Corp. And then the rest can be a distribution, right? As some sort of equity. Okay. And those are taxed differently. And there's an advantageous tax treatment of like the salary gets taxed higher than the distribution. So the distribution is actually where I save money because it's taxed less. It doesn't have the self-employment tax.
Very true. So far, very factually correct. I really appreciate you putting it in order. I want to make sure that people understand that this is done intentionally by the IRS to promote people running businesses in a professional manner. This is not a trick. We're not, finding something that is great. This is in the books. You're supposed to run your business that way. You're supposed to give yourself a reasonable compensation salary that says if you as the business owner were to go hire somebody to do this job of answering the phone and sending invoices and making sure clients are happy and like everything that needs to happen for the business to run, you would pay them X. Let's go and pay you as the employee of the business that X and tax it like salary. And then on top of that, your business could be very successful and have great margins and you make a lot of profit. That is intended to be given to the business owner as profit. It happens to be the same person. That's okay. The IRS intended for you to do that. And that's a way for the government to incentivize people running their business in a structured way. Now, what the government gets back is you're running your books, you're paying taxes on time, you're filing a tax return for the business. They get to see that this is a well-organized business. So the government gets something, you get something, everybody wins. This is intentional, and therefore it has to be done that way. And we'll get to that in a second, but there are many ways of running your S Corp. But part of the way to save on taxes is to run it well in an organized fashion.
Otherwise, I mean, it kind of gets messy, right? And which is just, you don't want your tax situation getting messy. That's the whole thing we're trying to avoid here, right?
And you're onto something really important. So I'll pause on that for a second because, again, I'm talking to customers every day, and many of them know that they either should be an S Corp or they already are an S Corp, and they're running it with a spreadsheet. And what happens is that decays over time. You're unable on your own to run your business on a spreadsheet and make it be run well. Same as everything else. Like, you wouldn't do your primary job on, some note. So running an S Corp is a task. You are now a business owner. You're the CEO of your business. You need and you want to have the back office that supports the kind of business that you're running.
Yeah, exactly. When we talk about S Corps, and I learned this personally myself because my first year in business, I saved $14,000 by having an S Corp versus not. So the cost, if you think about it on the flip side of not doing the S Corp, is you are literally just straight up paying $14,000 in my case, more money to the government than I needed to. Period. End of story. It was very simple.
That is the most common outcome that I hear all around. People are living on the table 10, 12, 15, 18, sometimes more, $1,000 every year just by not doing the right thing for their business. And your example is, right up the alley of you're literally giving away money that you worked really hard to make because you haven't made the right choice in year one, and you absolutely should. The first thing we do when you go to letters.co, our website, is we'll give you a tax calculator that says, hey, here is you before, here is you after. It's a straight up, here's the answer, just take it.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so we have S Corp. We have an LLC for legal protection. We have S Corp. Now, is S Corp right for everybody?
S Corp is right if you have a business that is sustainable, that you're going to run for a while. It's not a gig, right? Because there is some setup and you want to run it, so it should stay with you. And it starts making you a significant amount of saving once you make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year or more. The sweet spot is people who make six-figure income. At that level, you're easily saving $15,000 a year, and you start getting into more advanced tax strategies like retirement matching and business use of home and vehicle. And there is a long list of things you can do. As you make more money, it becomes more valuable. But it should be a real business, right? If you have a gig, that's probably something else.
Okay, great. So now let's talk about the next level. So S Corp, can easily save, I'm making 100 grand or more, can easily save 5 figures, right? Big deal. It's a really big deal. Now the next level for me comes, I think about deductions. Where would you go? Like, what's the next big way to take home the most amount of money?
So before we go to deductions, which I have a lot of stories to share about, any really important thing for you to do is make sure you have a dedicated business bank account where all of the income and all of the expenses of the business are getting in and coming out of that dedicated business bank account. A lot of people start their business and commingle their funds between their business and their personal. They send an invoice, they get paid to the personal account, they use it to do whatever they do. That's a big no-no. First of all, it's not how you should treat your business. And second, if the IRS comes knocking and asking questions, that's the biggest way to get your books disqualified and get into trouble is you have a commingled account with all kinds of expenses where, is it my dinner? Was there a client involved? Did I purchase this for me? Did I purchase this for the business? Big no-no. So definitely get a dedicated business bank account. We can help you do that. And then let's talk about deductions. historically, you would go on TikTok or YouTube and all of those places, and you're going to have everybody telling you to go spend in all kinds of ways because you can deduct it for taxes, all the way from, go get an extra meal and call it a business expense, up to go buy yourself a really expensive truck because it's deductible. The mistake there in my mind is that that's a way to save money by spending money. So you have to first make the expense to save some of it, 20, 30%, depending on your tax ratio. Well, fine, but not the best strategy in the books. While deductions are legit, there are actually tax strategies that do not require you to spend extra money to save on taxes. S Corp, that we mentioned, is a structural way to save $15,000 on your taxes without spending anything extra. Business use of home, business use of vehicle, retirement matching. There are a number of strategies that are actually optimizing what you already do rather than spend in order to save on taxes. So I have a pretty strong opinion that you shouldn't be chasing deductions. You should deduct what's yours, but you should first choose the right strategy for your business.
So what I'm hearing you say is instead of going out and spending more money so that I can save a percentage of it, I should make sure that I am deducting what I'm already spending, what's necessary for the business. But there are other strategies, obviously S Corp number one, but then there's, retirement accounts and there's other ways to do. Okay, so let's talk about the other ways, right? We talked about there's different IRA or 401k options. What else? Like, what are the big top 5 things that a solo should be like, all right, I'm absolutely using this strategy because it's going to save me a bunch of money?
Yeah, let's start with a very easy one. So I think the business use of vehicle, if you have a car and you're driving it for the business, you're driving to clients to provide the services, or you have a warehouse and you go bring stuff to the warehouse, then you could deduct the mileage that were used for creating income for your business. We help you do that. There are a bunch of tools to track your mileage and identify which ones are good for the business and which ones are not. Should definitely use that. The next big one is business use of your home. So if you have a home office and you dedicated a room in your home that is set up in a way that you conduct your business there. If you're a therapist, it may be where you actually accept clients. If you're a creator, it may be you are, recording your content. It's the dedicated space where you run your business. That is deductible. And, we can help you, for example, identify which portion of your home expenses are deductible and how to account for it and, how it fluctuates over time. But that home office is deductible expense. Retirement. So most people know that you could put money in retirement as an employer and it would be deducted from your taxes. Now, most people use the standard SEP IRA to put money for retirement, which is a very good strategy. You should do that. The more advanced way of doing it is actually as an S Corp, that is a business with employees, open a 401k with employer and employee contributions. And now you actually unlock a higher level of contribution possible because you're contributing both as an employee as an employer. It comes from 2 pockets of the business and therefore unlocks a higher deduction level from the IRS. So we can go into the details of each and every one of these, but I think the important thing to know is there are many ways to get advanced tax strategies for your business. Almost every single thing you do or you want to do has an appropriate tax strategy associated with it. We'd love to educate on it. There are other resources. I would generally say the more you go to reputable sources who can actually deliver on the recommendation, the better off you are. I don't have anything against TikTok influencers or YouTubers, etc. Just make sure that you get your information from sources that have some skin in the game and are accountable to what they're doing so that, when you actually have a question and you want to follow up, they can handle your unique situation.
Yeah. Is there more to keep going on, like the top things? So we're talking about a bunch of different ways that solos can save money. Would you keep going down the list? Like, what are more opportunities that we're missing? I want to make sure that we really get to the big ones.
I think we covered the big ones. I think as you start going down the list, they become either more specific to a specific industry, like things for realtors, things for creators, things for truckers, and they also have a diminishing return. So over time, the effort to get the extra deduction may not be worth at the time. What I would say, which is important, is a lot of solos have fluctuating incomes. They have a very strong Q1. They may have a slow summer. They may have a very strong end of year, but it comes and goes. So planning in itself is a pretty important strategy for the business and also for taxes. Making sure, for example, that you put money aside for taxes when you have your peak season and you make more money, so that later on, when you don't have enough, you don't have to go into your savings and pay taxes, and you don't get surprised comes tax day. Planning your year and understanding the fluctuation is really important. And again, I talk with a lot of solos who make a significant amount of money, but it ebbs and flows. Some call it feast and famine. Sometimes you have a couple of clients who are paying you on time and everything's great. Then they may go away for a while and then they come back. So have a horizon of planning that is not just next month. The really important strategy.
And I want to kind of bring this up a level because we're talking about all these different strategies and tactics for, the end of the day, we started this by you want to, as a solo, you're wanting to deliver for your clients in your area of expertise and all this other stuff. You're like, just get it done, right? From a mindset perspective, I'm sure you've seen so much around this area of how do I need to be thinking as a solo that serves my business in the best way?
Yeah. What I observed with those who get very successful in this and stay for a while and teach others what to do is the CEO mindset. You're running a business like a company. Sure, it's a company of one. You chose that you want to have the life of a company of one. You don't want to succeed by hiring dozens of people. That's not your passion. Great. Still, you should be strategic about what you spend your precious time and mind space on. So the very successful ones are constantly thinking about excellence in client service, business development, networking, growing the pie. How do you partner to deliver more for those who need your help? For example, I see a lot of solos who are actually delivering a lot more than what they can do on their own by partnering with other solos. So, for example, if you are a great creative marketer and you know how to build amazing websites, but from time to time, you need a video editor, you need a copywriter, you need somebody who's exceptional in animation. Building that network of solos around you, you are then able to deliver for your client a much more comprehensive piece of work. Now, why am I saying all of these words? In order for you to be strategic and think about your business that way, you need to have that confidence that the back office, the rest of it, is managed. And what I see a lot of folks trip on is that the day-to-day running of your business takes so much of their attention that they're kind of being dragged down to, oh my God, paying the bills and the invoices and estimated taxes. And what about, this expense and this deduction? And their entire energy goes to a place of the day-to-day minutia and not strategic. So, we started letters with that in mind, but if you don't hire us, hire somebody else. Get something or someone to take off your plate all of that stuff so you can be the CEO of your business.
I really love that you said that. You're like, if you don't hire us, hire somebody because it shows your passion for the customer and the problem, right? It's like we started this business because we care. And at the end of
100.
the day, right, like it's clear, it's so clear that you care. And every solo didn't start their business to shut it down or to get bogged down in all this stuff. And for me, it's all about making it sustainable over time. I think of the two big buckets that makes it challenging to be sustainable over time is one, all of the back office, and then two, finding clients. If I nail those two, then I get to focus on my zone of genius that I love doing the most. But if I don't nail those two, then my time in this business is limited.
You're absolutely right. And by the way, you see all the stats, right? The stats are telling you how hard it is to sustain that kind of business if you don't get those two things right. And what I'm encouraging everybody is go focus on your zone of genius. And your zone of genius should be very well aligned with finding clients. You're great at something, people should speak about you. You should write about it. People should read about you. There should be a virtuous cycle between your zone of genius and getting clients. There doesn't need to be any kind of cycle between your zone of genius and the back office. Find someone to help you. Find a way to outsource it. Find a way to give it to an AI bot. Give it away. Focus on your zone of genius, please. That's going to make our entire industry happier, healthier, more solos, more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. So there are a few other companies in the space, or people have, solo bookkeepers, or when you've been building out Lettuce and you think about what differentiates you from the competition, and I'm sure you build with all of that in mind, whether it's building the software, building the team, customer support, marketing, what are the top differentiators for you that you've really leaned on to separate from the competition?
Yeah. So there are, I think, two conceptual things that are important for us. One is we want to build a full solo operating system that has everything in one place. We don't want our customers to go pick 7 different things and connect the dots and run spreadsheets over the weekend. So one integrated solo operating system. And then the other one is technology enabled so that it's easy and reasonably cheap and scales really well. And those two connect to each other, and I'll tell you what I mean. There are many solutions you can pick off the shelf to go do your taxes, or go generate invoices, or go reconcile your books, or have a CRM. Like, you could go and do it yourself by picking 6, 7 different solutions. And at the end of the day, you're going to find yourself becoming the IT department, the accounting department, the connecting tissue between all of those do-it-yourself systems. Now, some people are geeks and love it and enjoy it, and they export stuff and import stuff, and good for them. By all means, go do it. We believe that there should be one integrated solution. And I'll talk about it in a second, but that solo operating system should include not just your tax and accounting and the legal entity and compliance, but your health and benefits, your retirement, financial planning, everything that is needed to run a sustainable, future for yourself. The second part is driven by technology. I think what happens is a lot of people rely on someone they know, their uncle, their friend, their son-in-law of whoever they went to school with, and that person is supposed to take care of you. But that person is a human. And humans have a lot of benefits, but they also have a limitation. They get tired, they get confused, they forget. The nice thing about financial management is that you can teach a computer to do this repeatedly, every single day, every single dollar, forever. Never get tired, never get bored, never forget. And this lends itself to technology solutions that now with AI and development are easier and easier to build, but are really consistent. So that when you call that accountant, they don't have to go open up that shoebox and say, remind me again, Bradley, who, with what kind of business? The system knows every dollar from 3 milliseconds ago that moved in your account. So those two things a fully integrated solo operating system and a technology first, never get tired approach are really important in how we think of solving this.
Yeah. As you think about 5, 10 years down the line of the company, what's the big vision? Like, what are you so excited about creating over the next decade?
So I personally believe, and I'm seeing evidence, that the future is independent. More and more people are choosing their primary way of delivering their genius to be through independent work. So when I look into the future, I think Lettuce should be the enabler of that future of independence. And I'll tell you a bit more what I mean. You're seeing this coming from a number of directions. You see Gen X people who've been working at corporates for a long while and are ready to leave. The corporate escapees, as we like to call them, either they're tired or they see the layoffs coming, or all of that stuff drives them to say, okay, it's time for me to take everything I've learned and deliver it. On the other extreme, on the Gen Z side, you see folks who know from day one that they need to have a portfolio career or polyworking, as they call it. They come out of college already having 3 jobs at once. So they understand that they are the main driver of their career and not any single corporate. So because of all of those trends, it's clear that the future is independent and many people are going to do that. But a lot of them are still scared or held back by lack of infrastructure, afraid of taxes, not having a healthcare solution, just not knowing what to do. So Lettuce was started and is moved by the mission to enable that future. Let every person choose if they want to be independent, go do it.
I love it. And it's such a beautiful future and everyone having this independent working life. And it's also scary in a lot of ways because they need this infrastructure, right? The finding clients is a whole nother discussion we can talk about another time. But the back end, I remember when I was running my business, I'm like, I just don't want to screw anything up.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't want to get that letter from the IRS.
Exactly. And I can tell you, it's very timely. It used to be that people were worried mostly about their ability to make ends meet and not getting that letter from the IRS. We are now hearing more and more that the issue of healthcare, benefits in general, but healthcare specifically, is a huge concern. The number that I just heard was 42% of freelancers don't have healthcare they can rely on. That's really scary. And with everything that's going on around us, it's only getting more complicated to get the right coverage you need. And what that results in is people who should be independent and have the talent and will to go do something that's great on their own behalf are held back because they need to get that, health insurance from their employer. So again, part of the future is Lettuce is moving in to go offer healthcare benefits for business of one so that you can take that one off your plate as well in the decision-making process of, I can be a great solo, I can add a ton of value to the universe by going independent. Let me not worry about all of that, healthcare included.
Yeah, there's these certain elements, right? It's the bookkeeping, it's the taxes, it's the health insurance, maybe business insurance. There's certain areas that just need to be taken care of so that I can go give my gift to the world. Really what we're talking about here is like I want to be able to go give my damn gift to the world and not worry about this crap. And of course, take home, to me as a business owner who's like, let's say marketing operations product, it feels like a nuisance. I know it's like your bread and butter, it's your world. To me and most solos, it's probably like, I don't want to deal with this.
And that's exactly the idea. What I am building in Lettuce, and the team is so committed to make happen because the team at Lettuce are solos themselves, building for solos. So we know this firsthand. We're trying to build that operating system, that box that does this for you so that you don't have to worry about any of that. And the reason we use technology is because we also don't want to do this ourselves with our own hands every single day for every single customer. We want to build something. That's why I keep using the word operating system. That just runs. It just works. It takes care of everything. And you show up to be great at what you do. Everything else is taken care of.
Yeah, I love that. It's empowering. And I hope everyone listening feels empowered of like, there are people like you and your entire team that are committed to helping them live in their zone of genius so that, right, like the world ends up being a better place. There's a great book, Who Not How. I don't know if you read it. And it's like, who do you need in your business to support you? You don't necessarily need to do it all yourself. In fact, you definitely should not do it all yourself, right? It's like hire the right
100%.
people, and that could be hiring a company, right, as a service.
100%. And that future we're talking about is closer than people realize. The reason I'm so motivated, and you can see it when you talk to everybody at Lettuce, we are all so motivated every morning, is you see the before and after of people who have a zone of genius and can tap into that, and how it unlocks their enjoyment of like, yeah, let me do my thing. You guys take care of everything else. It's just the smile on their face of not having to worry about that is really satisfying.
We have a few more minutes left in the pod. As we wrap up, is there anything that you leave our audience with from a advice perspective, something that supports them the most? We've obviously shared tons of value already, but what have we not covered that you'd love to leave the audience with?
When I think of what the future holds for every one of those solos and the economy as a whole, I would love to see a movement towards people being more independent, more in control of their future, more successful in their own way. And what I love to leave people with is this thought of there is a structured way of being a very successful independent. You can follow those instructions and be safe and sustainable and successful and happy. It requires a decision that this is something you want to do. So I would encourage people to imagine that everything else is solved. And if they could lean into that future, can they imagine themselves at that end state, at that beautiful point where you are in your zone of genius and you're contributing to everybody else from that point? And if you can see that and that's in your future, let us take care of the rest. It is possible, it is knowable, it is solved. Take that moment, imagine yourself in the future. If that's you, go do it.
I love it. Ron, if people are interested in connecting with you, working with Lettuce, we'll have a link. For full transparency, we have an affiliate deal with you guys. So we'll have our link and you'll get a discount for Mylance members as well. But any other place, we'll send that link. But if do you publish content on LinkedIn? Is there a newsletter? Is there any other way that they can connect with you?
Yeah, we have a newsletter called The Wedge coming from Lettuce that makes sense. Definitely encourage everybody to come to our website through your affiliate link so they get all the benefits they can. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Insta and Meta and YouTube. You can find us as lettuce.co. We publish a lot of content. We just hosted a large solo summit that has incredible speakers, and I encourage everybody to come in and get that content material, get educated. It's all free, it's all available, it's for the better future. Come get all of that content, get educated. We are here to support you.
Yeah, amazing. I really want to acknowledge you for there's such a clear why you do this and offering free value. I got to participate in that event that you guys just hosted as a panelist, and the energy was incredible. The attendance was unbelievable, and it was such a well-run machine. I mean, really acknowledge it's not easy to put on a virtual event for thousands and thousands of people, and you guys absolutely nailed it. So
thank you for being part of that. It takes a village.
It totally does. And, I know it was months in the making to make it go smoothly. So was really honored to be part of it and look forward to being part of it in the future and continuing to partner with you guys. It's been such a pleasure.
Same here. We love this.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time today and all the expertise. And we'll have to have you on for a part 2 coming up.
Happy to. Thank you for hosting me. Had a lot of fun with the conversation. Looking forward.